Peace, 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 everyone. Dr. Brandon Lamar Bass. So good to be with you on your show again, brother. It's been a while, but yeah, I do wish everything is good with you and that we're definitely making the progress that we need to be making mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. There's another one I'm missing, but whatever. You get what I'm saying. How's it going, Brandon?
Yeah, it's been pretty good, pretty good. Just always continue to elevate using your visualizations, using your imagination, and always striving for more and striving for better is always important.
Always, always. And as we were mentioning before we got started, Dr. Bass, I just want to remind the brethren, everybody who's watching, I don't care what so-called race or color or creed or whatever the fuck you think you are. Um, yeah, we were speaking about how I was reading H.P. Lovecraft. Bobby Hemmett, shout out to Bobby Hemmett. He was talking about H.P. Lovecraft for quite a lot of his old lectures and whatnot. I I came across one of his books, The Hounds of Tindalos. There's a dialogue that literally mentioned about how time is nothing but an imperfect perception of reality. Humans are so infinitesimally small in the grand scope of the universe and all of reality as a whole, whether you're talking about universes or galaxies or worlds, whatever you want to call them. Humans are so pathetically in unfathomably small. They can't even begin to comprehend what the grander cosmos is all about. And I spoke about it already, Dr. Bass. Can't remember if it was on a past live or personally with you, but time we know is nothing but a stubborn illusion. Even scientists of mundane science, they already discovered this for what, some years now, if not a few decades already, because these motherfuckers, they already mean this. Something that they're telling us that they discovered today is something that they probably already discovered 10 or 20 cycles ago. You know what I mean? That's how these motherfuckers play. That's how these motherfuckers do it. They always want to stay a step ahead of the curve. But hey, to those of us who will know, we would have always known regardless. Doesn't matter if it's 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, 50 years down the line. The universe will always make sure that those who came here to do what they had to do fulfill those tasks and goals and accomplishments. But in that book, they mention about how everything that happened 200 years ago, for example, centuries ago, is happening in another dimension. And something that has yet to happen, say 400 years down the line in this dimension, is already happening in another dimension. There's no such thing as time. We should be dimension hopping like the characters in Mortal Kombat. Shout out to Mortal Kombat, particularly Mortal Kombat Deception. That was the game that really expanded the lore with all the realms and the one being and whatnot. Mortal Kombat, especially when you go to the 3D era, they really expanded the lore and the story into some deep metaphysical, esoteric stuff, Dr. Bass. It's no wonder I was so drawn to it even before my own spiritual awakening because it was so deep. Like, yo, but to show you time doesn't exist, instead of these movies and TV shows and whatnot talking about time traveling, motherfucker, we should be dimension hopping. We should be taking portals and doorways into other worlds. See what 200 years was like. See what 2,000 years was like. See what 20,000 years was ago was like. See what 400 years down the line would be like. It's all happening simultaneously. And think about this, Dr. Bass. DC, Dr. Manhattan. I don't know if you know Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen comics, like that pure blue character. Like he's all blue, radiating blue energy. Dr. Manhattan.
Oh yeah, I think I heard of it.
Yeah, you probably saw pictures of him somewhere as well. Dr. Manhattan, I kid you not. In the comics that he appeared when he crossed paths with the main DC characters, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, the whole nine yards. When he crossed paths with them, he literally said the way he perceives time, it's all literally happening simultaneously on, get this, one tapestry. He sees the past there. He sees the present here. He sees the future here. On all on one freaking piece of tapestry, my brother. Dr. Bass, these comic book writers, these movie directors and producers, these cartoon artists and producers, these video game developers, they hide the truth in plain sight. These writers, H.P. Lovecraft and whatnot. We're talking about a guy from what, a century ago? A motherfucker from a century ago, literally writing in his books the esoteric, occult truths of our realities, the facts of our realities. But think about it. What are all these military, government motherfuckers? Why is it that they don't want people to go to so-called Antarctica and whatnot? Antarctica is a wall, by the way. It's not an actual place. It's just a fucking wall, an ice wall that literally covers the seven continent space that we live in, and beyond the seven continents is literally lands and worlds that we ourselves within this sphere have yet to discover. I mean, why do they not want us to go over there? I thought with these passports we should be able to go any fucking where we desire. You know what I mean? But again, military motherfuckers and those, which is very interesting. It leads me back to oh, by the way, big shout out to Brother Panic who literally left this realm. Big shout out to Brother Panic. I mean, hey, it doesn't matter. He did his work. He's got lectures and mountains of lectures that you could literally just go watch on his channel, Occult Lectures. You could watch it on YouTube and whatnot. But big shout out to Brother Panic. May he literally be experiencing way bigger and way grander wherever he is in the higher cosmos. But it goes back to that movie from starring Channing Tatum and Mila Kunis, Jupiter Ascending, I think it's called.
Oh yeah, that's
Um, yeah, in that movie, one of the main characters, when she's speaking to the Mila Kunis character, she says, humans be fighting for land and oil and all these natural resources. But the one thing, big shout out to Brother Panic on that. But this was probably cycles ago when he was still around in this physical realm. He said one thing that he caught on, that this particular character said, a female character. She said the one thing that is truly worth fighting for is what? And we already spoke about it, time. We know time doesn't exist, but what is it that she means when she says time? Because remember, shout out to Dr. Phil Valentine. We got to learn to decode and dissect everything they tell us, because they're not always going to tell us everything straight up, even though they want to tell us. Time in this case is eternal life. With us, Dr. Bass, we know. Big shout out to Foster eBay, Thai Spiritual. From time you reach the fourth dimension, time doesn't exist. The great old ones in H.P. Lovecraft's stories, they are literally described as beings who existed before time even existed. Time, we know, is nothing more than a lousy concept, an illusion. So when you really go back to it, she said time is the one commodity worth fighting for and whatnot. She means eternal life. Eternal life is the one thing. Big shout out to Brother Panic. Eternal life is the one thing that these motherfuckers want to have, but they cannot have because they are temporary physical beings. Go back to the Gnostic scriptures. Hans Jonas, Bentley Layton. You could even read Robert what's his name? Robert M. Grant. Robert M. Grant's book, Gnosticism and Early Christianity. Christianity that people are in now is vastly different from Christianity back then, because Christianity back then, as we know, big shout out to Dr. Joseph Ben Yochanan and that other brother, what's his name? He existed around John Henrik Clark, Dr. John Henrik Clark. Shout out to them. They already did the research and made the connection that Christianity has its origins dating back to ancient Kemet spirituality, the spirituality of ancient Kemet. And guess what? Unlike today, where people just gather around and go in some freaking place on Sunday to listen to some asshole preach some bullshit that he himself don't even fucking follow. The Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians, as well as many other spiritual ancient civilizations, their religion was their way of life. Every day they celebrated the sunrise, my brother. People only celebrate the sunrise by way of Christmas and all that nonsense, but the ancient Egyptians, it was every day because they knew that the sun is God in this realm. Take that sun away, and Earth is a frozen, barren wasteland, plain and simple. Well, you already got a lot of notes to break down for the layman's out there, Dr. Bass. But yo, Dr. Bass, to show you these movies and these books and these TV shows, all these different mediums, they be putting the truth all over, left, right, front, and center, and even in the back for the motherfuckers who are in the back. But I mean to say, Dr. Bass, yo, eternal life. These beings don't have eternal life. Go back to the Gnostic scriptures, like I said. You have three classes of humans: the spiritual, the psychic, and the hylic, the material physical individual. The material physical individual, nothing more needs to be said. They only exist in this plane. Sorry. Sorry. Y'all only exist in this plane. The psychic, he he can get a perception of spirituality, but he's not there yet. You know what I mean? He ain't there yet. He's a cross between the physical and the spiritual. But the spiritual, get the book, uh, The Buddha in Your Mirror by Herbie Hancock and a few other writers. He collaborated. He or she collaborated with to write that book, The Buddha in Your Mirror. Very good book. I recommend. Buddha is simply a ancient term. I guess it's Sanskrit or one of those terms that simply means enlightened one. You are the enlightened one. You are your own student and teacher. Just as much as you can teach and share knowledge is the same way you should be open to receiving knowledge. It doesn't matter if it's from the drunk down the street. Doesn't matter if it's from the whole that the whole neighborhood is banging. It doesn't matter if it's from the old crippled lady who unfortunately got into a terrible accident or whatever. Anybody can give you some knowledge that you could literally take with you along your journey. So, yeah, Dr. Bass, I'm telling you, people got books to read, people got movies to watch, people got cartoon shows and video games to play where the truth is hidden in plain sight. But Dr. Bass, I've already said too much. Take it away, brother.
Yeah, so like with a lot of people just be watching like entertainment type of value, so um like the reality shows and everything like that, which is really false information because what
Mhm.
what they do in these shows is really just to distract you and bring up fake drama and create fake stories. But all this time, you could be watching cartoons, you could be watching these type of movies that really have a real deep message behind them. Not a lot of people are gonna comprehend it after watching the movies because they don't truly understand it because they don't have that connection because their soul is not tied into that message because a lot of people talk about soul ties and being tied together with your soul is just like chemistry. If you have that chemistry with another person, you can that easily means that your souls is connected. You have a soul connection. But if you don't feel that chemistry, your both of your souls is not tied together because you don't have that initial spark together. So with flying cars, for example, like they already know that they already like have these type of creations.
Technology.
Yeah, yeah, they already have all
Thank you.
these like
Thank you. Thank
different
you.
things
Thank
like
you,
that.
Dr. Bass.
And then that's why in all these movies you see all these places like utopias and everything like that with flying cars and everything like advanced because they already know what they're doing and they put it in plain sight. So in your mind you will look over it, but internally they really just showing you like, hey, this is what's really gonna happen because at the end of the day if people ask them, hey, where's the warning signs? Like, oh, where's, like, you didn't tell me this was gonna happen, but in their defense, they could easily be like, oh, we put it in the movies, or we put it in the cartoons. You guys wasn't just aware of it and everything like that. So that's how they kind of like keep up their tracks and everything like that. And with time travel, it's like Why would you even want to time travel? Because the past, like everything happens for a reason. So everything was designed to happen in that order, in that divine timing. And then in the future, why would you want to go into the future and know what everything is going to happen? Now, if you come back to your present moment, you will be bored because you would already know what's going to happen in your lifetime. So that's why life is such a mystery. Life is just a unique creation to experience. And the best way to experience it is to be in the present moment, as always. So, sometimes a lot of people try to control every situation or try to control everything, but at the end of the day, sometimes they really have to just surrender to the universe and let the universe handle some things so it can happen in divine timing and divine order, how it's supposed to meant to happen in that way. Because once you try to control, the only things we can control is how we feel, how we act, how we respond, and what we think. So once you control those four things and just let everything else be, then you can just experience life how it's supposed to be meant. And then for Bullet
That's a
Panic,
good one, Dr. Bass. That's a good one. That
yeah,
is a very good one. Those four faculties right there, how we feel, how we think, how we respond, and what's the last one?
oh yeah, what we think, what we how we
What we think, what
respond,
we feel, how we respond.
uh,
But either way, you get it, you get it, you get it. You laid it out right there, Dr. Bass. They'll definitely always get the chance to go back and really think about it. You already laid it out, so that's a good one. Yo, shout out to you on that one, Dr. Bass. For real, those are the four things that we can control. Forget everything else that we can't control, because the universe and reality itself is chaos, and that's the level that we should be going on.
yeah, definitely because I, because it's like everything is like a soul contract. Like everything that's meant to happen, that's meant for us, already is a soul contract. Like a lot of people talk about when before we came into this lifetime or this like into this physical body, we had this big meeting with all like our spiritual guides, guardian angels, and everything like that. And we talked about everything that was gonna happen, all the soul contracts. So you probably like are wondering why is everything happening is because you have a soul contract with specific people, soul contract with specific jobs or specific things that you will experience because it was meant to happen in your life. Because at the end of the day, if it's from the universe, if it's meant to be, it would feel good. If it's not, if it's not meant to be, or if it doesn't feel good, it's not from the universe. And if you're really in tune with the universe or in tune with whatever you believe in, then they would cut out the things that no longer serve you. So it's important every day to return anything, everything, everyone, and anything back to sender. And it's also important to um, just like return back to sender and
Reclaim
I
your
forgot.
energy. To
Yeah,
take back your energy.
uh, yeah. So
Because it's very important. Yes, it's very important to send all the unnecessary, undesirable, unfavorable energies back to sender, because you're just talking about low-minded, low vibrational, low frequency type of beings. But at the same time, it's very important and very key to call back your energy, because a lot of energy, a lot of your own energy was put out there, uh, be it intentionally or unintentionally. So it's good to call back your own energy as well.
oh yeah, especially since like, a lot of people try to do like try to cast spells on people and try to do all type of weird stuff on people and whatnot. So it's really important just to return back to sender and reclaim your power because it's like a lot of people try to low key, a lot of people try to take you out, especially if you're one in a billion. because like a lot of people just say like, oh yeah, one in 44,000, 144,000. But at this point, if you really like tapped in and really know your bloodlines and really know where you really came from, a lot of people, well, very few people are really 1 in 1 billion. So if you're 1 in 1 billion, you will truly feel that internally.
Yeah, for real, Dr. Bass, for real, for real. And as you just so wonderfully laid it out right there, if you really were to get down to um see if your spiritual team, your spiritual guide, your true self were all to really reveal to you how much of you all as eternal spiritual beings living a temporary human experience here, you would come to realize it's very few of y'all. But then again, the Gnostic scriptures already mentioned it. You got a bunch of physical beings. You see, these beings, you see, to show you how these motherfuckers were never powerful to begin with, Dr. Bass. When the transatlantic slave trade and all that monkey shit happened, when we fell to our lowest, that is exactly what happened, Dr. Bass. These motherfuckers did not rise in power. We fell to their level. Really stop and think about it. These motherfuckers ain't shit. Without us, their system cannot run. Without us, they can't achieve the things that they desire. Without us, they don't exist, period. And think about something else. We came into this physical realm as a type of VR video game type of experience. But then we come across these low-minded, low vibrational motherfuckers, and we're gonna get to Dr. Mumbi as I shared a video with her with you, so that yeah, she's gonna lay it out so well that even a layman would get it, my brother. We came from realities where death wasn't even a concept, let alone an illusion. And yet, you're telling me the pervasive thought process of these people are that in the case of Christianity, modern day Christianity anyway, which is nothing more than a mind control military tool. The so-called creator sent down his only son and killed him for humanity, a failing fucking species. Why the hell didn't he just snap his freaking finger and just wipe out these motherfuckers and literally start over like he did in the Genesis stories? I mean, like, I mean, fuck the math. You get what it is I'm saying? The logic of this freaking God is the logic of a freaking child. It's so play school. It's so kindergarten level. But here's the good news. Those of us who are spiritual, because we spoke about it as the Gnostic scriptures already showed us, you have three classes of humans: physical, material, psychic, and spiritual. The spiritual is the only individual who doesn't have to worry about doing anything because they were already saved to begin with. They were never doomed from the start. We're only here on a video game type of experience. Big shout out to Sivan Bomar. Y'all could check his channel out. I think it's called Understanding. Dr. Mumbi gave a shout out to him as well. Um, he mentioned Earth, this realm, being a processing center, meaning, okay, you're a multidimensional, eternal spiritual being simply coming to have a physical experience. But guess what? A lot of beings who are even higher than you would never dare to come here. You want to know why? Because they could already see from miles and miles away that this shit, it's gonna do a number on you, Dr. Bass. This fucking realm, it's gonna do a number on you, whether you like it or not. But for those of us who came here, which is why I always say, Dr. Bass, pat yourself on the shoulder, pat yourself on the back, and give yourself one big hug. Because to see you've come this far, we ain't going back, Dr. Bass. We ain't going back. In fact, we don't need to do anything, period. Because those of us who are truly spiritual, directly from the higher realms, directly from source, what the fuck could we possibly do to save ourselves if we come directly from the source? Meaning we were never doomed. We don't need to save ourselves. All we need to do is continue to walk on the path to which we make the journey worthwhile. So, in that sense, Paul knew what he was saying, because Spiritually, I know that source in and of itself is as close to where it is that I came from. Because source is in a realm in and of itself. But guess what? We already spoke about it. Source is not perfect. And we spoke about it, what, just recently this week, Dr. Bass. An imperfect being can only create flawed creations. A perfect being, if that even exists, can only create perfect beings. So how could a perfect being, as they say God is, create imperfect creations? That's because Source, the All, was never perfect. And guess what? The flaws are there only so that you can spot them, grow, grow from them, and correct them. Plain and simple. Life is a continual growth process. A spiritual being cannot sympathize, let alone empathize with a physical being unless they go through that physical experience. Plain and simple. Spiritual beings who never incarnated in physical bodies, they might have an idea of what it is, but they don't know because they never incarnated in physical bodies. You know what I mean, Dr. Bass? It's just that simple. But to those of you who are spiritual, rejoice, because there is nothing you need to do except make your own personal journey worthwhile. And big shout out to Brother Panic. My journey is not Brandon's journey. Brandon's journey is not Dr. Mumbi's journey. Dr. Mumbi's journey is not Dr. Phil Valentine's journey. Brother Panic already finished with his fucking journey. So, lucky bastard. He's done with his journey in this motherfucker. And I don't see the point of coming back because he made so many lectures. He spoke with Bobby Hemmett. He's been with all the brethren. If he had to, for whatever reason, incarnate back into this world, he alone knows why. But other than that, from my perspective, I don't see why he needs to come back in this world. You know what I mean, Dr. Bass? Because he's done so much already. Thank you so much, Brother Panic. Enjoy your best life in the higher realms yet. But Brother Panic's journey wasn't Bobby Hemmett's journey. Bobby Hemmett's journey isn't C. Freeman L's journey, and so on and so forth. Real Merkaba's journey is not Savan Bomar's journey, and so it goes on. Make the journey worthwhile. And when you look back on the on in the NBA, for example, it was never the fact that you knew they were going to hoist the championship trophy up. It's the journey that they took. It's all the bruises and scrapes and all the freaking beatings that they took. That was what they had to overcome throughout the journey. And it was always about the journey, straight up. So yeah, as we go, as I pass it back on to you, Dr. Bass, and we observe the first video from the brethren, yeah, Dr. Bass, it's just that simple. If you're spiritual, rejoice because there's nothing you need to do. Because the Gnostic scriptures say the physical man and the psychic man, they need to do the work because they are in an unfavorable position, but that doesn't mean that they can't be saved. You know what I mean? They can elevate to a higher level. It's just they need to put in the work. But think about it. It makes so much sense. They don't come directly from source, but we spiritual beings, we came as close from source as we ever were. Death never existed. Time, what even is death and time? It's just a fucking joke. Because even mundane science teaches us that death in and of itself isn't real because energy can't be created or destroyed, meaning we always, as spiritual, multi-dimensional spiritual beings, we always existed, Dr. Bass. Read the Kabbalion. That's all I got to say. Read the Kabbalion, and I pass it back on to you, Dr. Bass.
Yeah, it's definitely all about the journey and the path that one takes because when you really think about it, it's like a marathon, not a sprint. And you shouldn't compare yourself to anyone because you're a unique being of yourself, because you're authentic. If you become your authentic self, right, there's no one who can copy you. Now, there's a lot of people who try to copy you. There's a lot of people who try to clone you. A lot of people trying to take away your power, but they, as long as they keep trying, they can't get close because you came closest to the source, and you are your own unique being. So that's why like they try to clone you or try to have people compare you and whatnot, but there's no comparison because you are your own unique being. And especially like how we talked about, like imperfect beings can't create perfect beings. And at the end of the day, like God ain't coming down to save you, because it's like if I know a lot of people are saying like, oh yeah, Jesus is still coming, Jesus, they've been saying this for like centuries at this point. Oh yeah, Jesus coming. I mean, like, look at the time. It's like 2023. It's still not happening. So at this point, like, you get what I'm saying. You just gotta do this for yourself. And at the end of the day, don't worry, because you don't really have to do anything, because if you are a spiritual being and you're on your path and you're on your own journey and getting back to who you are and know where you truly came from, you really don't have to do anything. Like, the thing is like with manifestation, right? You can really manifest your heart desires. But of course, in the beginning, like Butler Panic or Bobby Hemmick, like for example, they put out their lectures, right? So of course they put in the work to gain all that abundance. So of course you have to do what you need to do in the beginning, but once you put in that good amount of work, you really don't have to do anything afterwards. So with manifestation, right? Like, you just have to be and just let everything happen, because you already, if especially for the people who already done the work, you just have to just let it come naturally. So but that's a whole nother topic that I could get into. But let's get to the first video.
Well said, Dr. Bass. Well said. Well said. Because those of us who come from higher realms, or who definitely have a good remembrance of our past lives and the Akashic records and whatnot, yeah, the universe has everything already put in place so that we simply have to how can I say, we simply just have to take the necessary steps so that we can get back to who it is that we truly are, as you already so well laid it out. I'm telling you, yo, we out here making sure that people receive the truth and the facts, Dr. Bass. It's all on the individual to know what it is that they do with the knowledge and information straight up.
Yeah, because it's like a lot of people in their past lives are like real powerful, and they may have been like rulers of different societies and whatnot, but once you come back to that state of being, then you can really know like who you truly are. But yeah.
Straight up. Anyway, yeah, this is from the YouTube channel. The brother on the left, that's I can't remember his name, but he does a very good job. He even interviews Dr. Phil Valentine, who is actually still with us in the physical realm. So like yeah, he does interview Dr. Phil, and Rod Hayes is another good one. Oh yeah, Rod Hayes is another brother who knows stuff pertaining to this reality and whatnot, and how they hide so much information from us. But this brother, yeah, he's interviewing the brother on the right. And yeah, this video here is well, as sad as it sounds, but it just is what it is, because all throughout history you could see the masses never make it. The masses were only ever good for one thing and one thing only: getting slaughtered. They showed you that in those silly Bibles. Then they show you that in plain sight in the movies, in the TV shows, in books, and in history, period. The masses never make it. But guess what? It was never about the masses. Take it away, Dr. Bass.
Curious because I was going to ask a question about NPCs. About you said about 85% of the planet of people may not have consciousness. 85% of people might be NPCs. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the
You
study
have a study.
that was made, they said that there's at least about 85% of the population walking around with no consciousness,
Mm.
and that's
So
very important because due to the fact that when you have a consciousness, that creates the delineation to where you're able to decipher right from wrong. So when
right.
you're able to use critical thinking skills and decipher, those elements in itself, that puts you in alignment to where you galvanize morality. So that's why
Mm,
the great majority of people in this three-dimensional paradigm, they don't have any morals, they don't have any principles, they don't have any values. They just kind of like, just going along with the system instead of using their edification to reverse certain things that subjugated us on a political level, spiritual
mm.
level, uh, on a dietary level. It's an influx of things and many different afflictions that brought it down to fallen humanity.
So when you talk about these NPCs going along with the dominant system in society is one that we see that is attempting to keep our vibration at a very low level. Now, if it was the other way around, if it was flipped and the dominant society was attempting to keep society on a high vibration like it was in a golden age, do you think these NPCs will follow the light workers? Like they just follow. So they follow these evil entities now, but at another time these NPCs follow the light workers because that's what they're here to do. They're here to follow whatever's dominating at the time. Is that how it works?
Pretty much, because when you look at the inception point of the hierarchy of control, everything is
Mhm.
being facilitated by archons, or whether you want to call them draconian reptilians.
Right.
But one thing you got to understand is that an NPC is basically a computer generated spirit that's connected to the gematria body that's connected to the Metatronic overlay. So this three-dimensional reality is being facilitated by artificial intelligence under a technocrat system. So that means that the great majority of all these technological devices, they extract neurons from the body and upload it into neuromorphic clouds and things of that nature. So this is why the great majority of artificial intelligence is basically the foundation and basically the foundation of how NPCs is able to galvanize their consciousness, because they're basically connected to the paradigm of artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence is the third eye for the beast.
Mhm.
So with that being said, if the polarity was reversed, you can, reap the benefits of a golden age to where you can have, NPCs following, chosen ones, because the great majority of people in our family, you know what I'm saying, like your family members, your neighbors, the people that you work with,
Mhm.
a lot of those people are NPCs. Some of those people are really good people, but an NPC is one of those things where it's not. They were basically reincarnations. They was brought back to this planet. You know what I'm saying? Because they're subjected to the emotional energy, because your emotions is connected to the physical world, which is the illusionary world, because your emotions is going to deceive you every time, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because all this is based on the illusionary aspect of the material world. So what NPCs, their purpose is based on the concept of reincarnation. They reincarnation until they uh, get out of the Metatronic overlay. Now, the difference between NPC and a chosen one, a light worker, they were incarnated to this planet to bring a certain polarity, to bring a certain edification. So that's why you see the great majority of the great majority of chosen ones and light workers. They were incarnated in their family, basically break generational curses, right?
Mhm.
So the
Mhm.
generational curses that subjugated their bloodline. So this is why the great majority of chosen ones, they might be the black sheep of the family, but they end up being the goat eventually, right? So
Mhm.
because you know, you might be the only one in your family that might be vegan. You might be the only one in your family that has this knowledge. You might be the only one in your family that's trying to clean up, the afflictions that subjugated your family. So that's the difference between the chosen one and the NPC. Now, NPCs within your family structure, a lot of them, they can hold you back on the emotional level. So
Mhm.
that's why I tell people all the time, your emotions is not real because it's connected to material. So that's how, the same concept with reincarnation. Like when you die, you see that white light or whatever. That is basically the moon trying to galvanize your energy to bring you right back to this realm.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you
Mhm.
might see, in a holographic projection, you might see the things that you used to love to pull you back into this energy again.
Mhm.
So that's
Mhm.
why you got to follow the path of uh, La Lut, which is
Mhm.
path of the middle way, meaning that you have to go through a process of self-realization And that self-realization is an initiation process to where it puts you in alignment to where you become a master. So when you become a master, that's when you use your emotions as a navigation system to infiltrate, uh, to basically ascend up way beyond the three-dimensional reality. So that's the difference between chosen ones and NPCs and light workers.
Indeed. Do you think that sometimes when women have pregnancy complications, do you think it may be due to the fact that it's a light worker trying to have a child or bring a soul into this realm with an NPC and it's just not going to work? Like, are light workers the NPCs? Are they able to have children together? And if not, that's why we see so many pregnancy complications.
Yeah, well, in actuality, to bring it all the way back to certain demographics of people, you have some people. There's a certain demographic they're able to have children a lot more easier when to where they don't need ROGAM shots and things of that nature on full moons.
Mm,
So that's
mm,
how you know that the lunar cycle is connected to this, this three dimensional paradigm that we're living in. But
mm,
an NPC and a chosen one can have a child. But like I said, uh, over the course of time, you have to clean up that genetical. It requires a certain genetic cleanup during the
mm,
course of the time because it's kind of like the same concept. Like you might be in a relationship with somebody, you might be, on the path of enlightenment, and that person might just be subjected to going to church. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, it may not work out. You know what I'm saying? But it, I mean, that's just pretty much the illusionary aspect of this planet. Because it's all based on distractions. But a chosen one and an NPC can have a child at the same time.
indeed. What's this Metatronic overlay that you keep mentioning? Metatronic overlay. I hope I'm saying that
Metatron
right.
overlay is just basically just the material plane.
Hmm.
It's just really the material plane that's connected to the gematria body. The gematria body is connected to the ley line grid system of this planet that keeps you entrapped.
For those, I noticed some of you in the chat are asking NPC. He keeps saying NPC. That's non-playable character, right?
But yes,
Yeah,
yep,
it's not. It's like when you the background players when you're in a video game and they're really not there. They're just there to fill in the empty space so you can have a scene in the video game. They've termed that N not M NPCs. NPC is the music machine, but this is NPC. So yeah, aka Agent Smiths. Is that another way to put it, Bdell?
yep. The
Yeah,
best the best way I can explain it is if when you playing
Pause it
Grand
there, quick,
Theft Auto,
Dr. Matt.
this is just based on the simplicity.
You know, not long ago, I literally just came off of watching the Matrix trilogy, and let me tell you something, Dr. Bass. Even Agent Smith himself wasn't as much of an NPC as people make him out to be, you know. Agent Smith was literally, I can't say he was Neo's equal, but he was a being who was aware. Because if you, and I'm speaking personally with you, Dr. Bass, if you remember good back in the first Matrix movie when when he had captured Morpheus, he told Morpheus he hated this body, he hated this world, and he hated everything about it. Dr. Bass, that is a being who's literally looking to elevate and grow beyond the environment he found himself in, or he realized that he was in. Just, I guess, he was going about it in an undesirable way. Nevertheless, Agent Smith wasn't an NPC. He was literally an individual fully aware of what was going on. It was the background characters who are the NPCs, as in they literally, like what the brother said, they're only there to fill up an empty space. But you could have literally have freaking mannequins walking around and it wouldn't make a difference at all because these motherfuckers add nothing to the story. Agent Smith, remember how Jeffrey Darty, shout out to Jeffrey Darty, he always mentioned how the Bible works like a movie. People need to be invested in these characters. In every story, you need a compelling protagonist as well as an antagonist. Guess what? If it wasn't for Satan, Christianity wouldn't be the way it is right now. Period. Fucking period. Point blank. Period. And I dare anybody try argue me against this, because people like Jeffrey Doherty already mentioned it. Without without the villain, without the main villain, you don't have a story. You don't have a story, period. I don't care how interesting the protagonist is. You don't have a main villain in the case of Christianity's mythology. Satan, so called, which is a very generic term, it just means the adversary, the slanderer, because all throughout the Bible, any individual, or even at the time where it was supposedly where these events took place, like you could say ancient Greek and ancient Egyptian times. If you go back to that period in time, you could call somebody Satan. It just means that you are the adversary, you are the slanderer. That's all it means, the enemy. So that means God is just as much Satan to Lucifer as Lucifer is supposedly Satan to God and humanity. Hey, Dr. Bass, if people don't know, they should look to know. And if they don't want to know, hey, people like you and I are here to literally help share the facts and the truth. And if they don't get it, then too bad for them. But yo, Dr. Bass, to show you, Agent Smith, eh, for you to call somebody Agent Smith, you're actually literally giving them a badge of honor. Nah, when you call a motherfucker an NPC, Dr. Bass, it's literally the equivalent of calling them a vegetable. Eh? They're incapable of doing anything. Eh? So I pass it on to you, brother.
Why? Because like every story has like a villain, or even if it's not like a superhero or slash villain, of course, every story has that conflict. So with storytelling, there's the rising action, then you got the climax, then you got the downfall. I forgot the names, but like each story
Yeah, I get you. I
has,
get
yeah, each story has like this kind of like format that
you.
takes
Mm-hmm.
place, so like it can like resonate with people, so that's why they like follow it. And then yeah, they don't really add anything to like the off or like the ascension and everything like that, so they just like
Nothing.
they're just like brain dead zombies just walking, just going with
So
this.
when you be seeing all these zombie books and video games and movies, Dr. Bass, we were already living amongst these motherfuckers. That's the scary part about it. They don't need to be eating flesh and drinking blood like Jesus himself said and whatnot. But there's a far deeper meaning behind that. But we're not here to discuss all of that, because you literally have DM Murdoch, S. Akaria. She has books explaining all of that. Uh, Jeffrey Doherty already explains all of that throughout his lectures and videos. Bobby Hemmett already be explaining all of that, and even Gerald Massey in his books be explaining what the eating flesh and drinking blood really comes from. And I could tell you one thing, it originally did not have anything to do with the male. It always went back with the female. Shout out to Dr. Mumbi. People don't know this, but Mary had far more power than Jesus, and motherfuckers didn't even realize it. That's all I'm gonna leave it as. I carry it back to you, Dr. Bass.
Right, and like even talking about that, like Jesus, blood and everything like that, like we see in these churches, they be like, oh yeah, we drinking the blood of Jesus, we over here eating his flesh with the crackle, and like
Spiritual cannibalism.
right. So it's really just showing y'all like what y'all really be doing and what y'all really following at this point. And like even with the video that we're watching right now, how he was saying you gotta watch who you date. That's like so important to watch who you spend your time with, spend your energy with, because I be seeing so many, even some of these chosen ones, I be seeing like them like falling for people who's really NPCs. It's like they don't even follow, like they're not even into spirituality. They don't really do any, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you just have to watch who you date and who you surround yourself with, because they can influence you as well.
hmm And to add to that, Dr. Bass, as you just well laid it out so perfectly right there, uh, It's part of the experience here. It's part of the experience here. A motherfucker is going to have to go through all the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations, the challenges and obstacles in order to realize what does work and what doesn't work. And once again, what may work for me definitely isn't going to work for you. But that's okay as long as we're making the journey worthwhile and we know that we're going to get to the end goal because we came from far higher, far more sophisticated planes of existence. So yeah, it's all part of the experience, Dr. Bass. If a motherfucker thinks that they're going to rise to the higher levels and that's it, you've got another thing coming. There's a reason why the chakra system can simply, big shout out to Foster eBay. The chakra system can simply be best equated to an elevator ride. The elevator goes up and it goes down. That's all I gotta say. I pass it back on to you, Dr. Bass.
But yeah, and then the last thing I'll say is like, for like a lot of people who are just like just on the spiritual journey right now or just getting started, like one key important advice I would say is like you gotta see this as the long term. You have to see this as the marathon. It's not about the
Racing. It's not a race.
right,
It's a marathon, not a race. Well said, brother.
right. And then it's like people try to know all this knowledge and everything like that, but it's like infinite amounts of rabbit holes and whatnot. But that's a whole nother
Mhm.
topic.
Oh yeah, it's a whole nother can of worms that we don't need to get into right now. Let's finish it off, brother.
Level. When you playing Grand Theft Auto, there's the main character has a mission. Anytime
Mm.
you're a light worker, anytime you are chosen, when you have a mission to fulfill on this planet, your mission might be like Yaki, you know what I'm saying, to revitalize the dietary system of our
Mm.
people. Or you might be, subjected to giving people the edification of knowledge, just like Brother Panic, Dr. Phil Valentine, Rod Hayes, and things like that. You might be incarnated for that mission to
Mm.
uplift fallen humanity. So that's the difference between how that's basically my foundation and my perspective what an NPC and a person who's chosen on this planet, because most of the time, like I said, you chosen, you have a purpose, you have a mission. But the NPCs are the people that you see just walking around on Grand Theft Auto talking to themselves. They just wander around on autopilot with no
Right.
conscience. Yeah,
Right.
because they don't
Indeed.
have nowhere to go. But you have a destination. You know what I'm saying? On the lower form, on the lower form on the video game, they might just be go steal a car or whatever. But in reality, when you came back to this planet, you came here to bring knowledge. You came here to clean up the mess that was made by you know um, the plastocracy.
Mm.
This is what just 10 pounds of body fat looks like. If we
Well, well, Dr. Bass, as we go on to the next video with the sister, explaining a very, based off the title alone, a very interesting topic. Toxic, what is it? Toxic environments and the love frequency. Either way, yeah, Dr. Bass, lay it down for everybody. The video that we just watched there, man. I mean, big shout out to the brethren. Big shout out to, yeah, big shout out to them because I'm telling you, a lot of people don't realize this, but Dr. Phil Valentine, I think it was years ago, he mentioned y'all in the States, Dr. Bass, my brethren, my melanated brethren in the States, y'all are one of the last few vestiges of hope that we have to ensure that the consciousness continues to move forward and elevate. Because I'm telling you, Dr. Bass, it was said in even I think even in the Bible, and y'all probably gonna have to do the research and check back on it about how the information, the spiritual information and knowledge would travel from the east, aka Kemet in the ancient world, to the west. And guess what? The cracker already found y'all in the Americas, already spiritual and living your best lives and whatnot. But guess what? Because that was just the time for these beasts to take over. And now that we see that their system is finally collapsing, we should be rejoicing. And with all these natural disasters, earthquakes, tsunamis, hurricanes, the whole 9 yards, honestly, they should be coming with a rage because these motherfuckers did too goddamn much. They did too goddamn much. Even Dr. Mumbi herself, not long ago, made a video revisiting the topic of human zoos. And don't think it was only melanated people like me and you that used to be in there. Freaking East Asian people like Filipinos and whatnot used to be in these motherfuckers. Dr. Bass is a fucking degenerate piece of shit spirit that knows it isn't gonna last an eternity. But guess what? Mythologies and ancient scriptures already spoke about this. Man, Dr. Bass, take it away.
Yeah, it's like they really just laid out like, okay, if you feel like you're the chosen one, or you know that you're at this point, it's like of your feelings and your just the knowing this has to be connected. So like a lot of people try to use like a law of attraction and everything like that, but they don't realize they have to have the headspace and the heart space to be in connected as one. You get what I'm saying? So you can't just say like, oh, all these affirmations, but then in your head you'd be like, oh no, that's not true, or just like, you know what I'm saying? But
Mm-hmm.
once you change that mindset, once you change that self-talk, then you can be interconnected with all of your chakras and all your body, so your manifestations can come true even faster. So
Well, what can I say, Dr. Bass? I couldn't have worded it better than you already did, my brother. Indeed, you need to, like what Dr. Mumbi said in the video that we're going to watch after this, they took God being in the heart space. Because remember, fuck a thought. We know thoughts can easily lead down a path of destruction, but feelings, which are very important, that this society, which is so goddamn brain focused and thought focused, our feelings. They took God being in the heart space, like what she said. They took God from the heart space and literally turned it into some cheesy ass human motherfucker who's supposed to be what, Santa Claus or some shit. Like, and literally put them in the sky. Like these Christians be saying the man up there, because
they
I live in
really
the
talking
I live in the,
they really
bro,
talking
bro,
about Santa.
But Dr. Bass, I kid you not, it fucking pisses me off when grown ass motherfuckers literally be talking about the man up there. What fucking man up there? General Seti been big shout out to General Seti. He's been sharing the knowledge and the truth to y'all for years. Why y'all just don't take the time watch his lectures and videos? Because he's got mountains and mountains of information going years back where he's exposing all of this shit, and it's literally just the cracker the beasts who run this system. Let's be real, it's not all fucking white people. And like we spoke about in the past, Dr. Bass, and even Sister Yafa Bey, she mentioned it already. All of these people who really believe that they're contributing to the so-called white supremacy and racism and all this bullshit, when it comes down to it, it's going to be nothing but collateral damage, because these motherfuckers don't care about nobody. It's all about their bloodlines. It's all about their freaking bloodline. They don't take outsiders. I'm telling you, they be sending these other people's children out to wars and whatnot, while their children remain safe and out of that nonsense, out of that conflict. I'm telling you, Dr. Bass, it really it hurts, but at the same time, the Gospel of Thomas in the Gnostic scriptures said, if you see all these things, rejoice, because then you know that the time for this system and this world to be coming to an end is near, and we should be looking for this system and this world to come to an end, because it was already prophesied long before the concept of Christianity even came into existence. Dr. Bass, seriously, simply do the research and read all the books that you can explaining these topics and whatnot, because this is not new information. It's there, and considering we're in the age of information, anybody who doesn't want the truth, they simply anybody who does not allow themselves to know more, it's because they want to stay in ignorance, plain and simple. Anybody in this age of information who doesn't want new information simply want to stay in ignorance. And you know what? That's fine. We already just got off the topic of NPCs and whatnot. This shit ain't for everybody. Even low vibrational spiritual beings, this is especially not for them, because these motherfuckers, you could consider them to be like the psychics. They are aware, but they still don't give a damn, because they know that the higher realms are not for them. Straight up, Dr. Bass. But it's just that plain and simple.
Yeah, that's straight fast because like for example, like the military, they just letting all the people fight their own battles. And then like when people saying like the man upstairs and everything like that, at this point, Jesus might be Santa Claus at this point. Like that's
Straight up.
straight up.
At least Santa Claus is doing a way better fucking job coming every year, delivering presents and whatnot. Jesus saying he coming for the longest a while. Where the hell is he to be seen, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But either way, let's get to the sister radio, Dr. Bass. Straight up.
A family member of mine, my sister actually. So I wasn't gonna say it's my sister, but this, I just said let me say this for my sister. How to quiet thoughts once and for all to end things when in a dark place. That's from Brother Rich's sister. She's watching. This is important, Aaron. You have reached my sister. Go ahead, Aaron. Come on. All right, come on. Let's go.
Okay. This is what feel like the masters of a mentee, all the yogis and the gurus and the rishis in the field right now. What they're saying is actually
Mm-hmm.
people think enlightenment is like I will never think a negative thought. But what actually happens is a negative thought can come by and I will observe it with no judgment or attachment. And then I am truly free. So, for your sister, what I would recommend is a begin with a daily meditation practice, 15 minutes, that's it. And then you're going to start to calibrate. Now, the thing when we first start meditating, I don't know if she's already meditating, the thoughts will actually get louder. But I want you to try building up to a place where the thought is there, but you don't even respond to it. You're like, okay, so what? It's there. And then it loses its grip. And then you enter that 0 point, and then you will have more positive thoughts dominantly. So the goal is not to eradicate all negative thoughts, guys. It's to dominantly have positive thoughts, or more like usually have positive thoughts. But negative thoughts are a part of the journey and it's a part of your mastery.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, my sister text. I like that. She said, "I like that." Yeah, okay. No, that was like I said. You give amazing, amazing answers. That's
Thank
why I
you.
knew this topic would be great. Um, do you trust your thoughts, Aaron? Whether they're good or bad, do you trust them or they're just like whatever?
Mm.
They be like, Aaron, you could be
Well,
a billionaire. Do you trust them or you just like whatever? It's just a thought. I'm gonna keep,
yeah. I mean, it's a little bit different for me because source is like in my head 24/7. So I hold that frequency of source as my metric. If it doesn't feel like that, then I know maybe it's my ego or it's something energetically in the field or like something trying to come in or whatever the case may be. So find something that you hold as your like something that you can really trust. Like if it feels like this or if it makes me feel like this, then I can trust it. But if it doesn't, even if I'm like questioning it, then something's out of alignment. Now, this is something that happens to me a lot and a lot more recently is
Pause it there quick, Dr. Bass.
frequency is blended. It's
Hey, Dr. Bass, you see, without even having watching these videos, only the Dr. Mumbi video I watched already, which we're gonna cover lastly. But these two videos to show you, I didn't even watch them, and you see what happens when you're on the right frequency, when you're on the right vibration, you keep elevating up. Dr. Bass, she literally repeated everything that you always repeat, brother. If it's from source, if it's from source, you will stick to it. If it's not from source, something ain't right. There's an imbalance right there. You see that, Dr. Bass? You see why it's so good to fucking elevate, Dr. Bass? Good stuff, brother.
Very
Good
good
stuff.
stuff. Facts, man.
I'm telling you, what she's essentially saying is you need a spiritual anchor. You need a spiritual anchor to, especially whenever the ego, because remember, the ego, just like the book Practicing the Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle, the ego is a conniving, sly motherfucker. It's always going to be lurking in the shadows and try to creep in when you least expect it. You know, just like those guests at parties, nobody invited them, but they still somehow found their way in the party. Yeah, that's the fucking ego right there, brother. That's the ego right there. You always gotta be very alert and aware of that motherfucker because it could sometimes disguise itself as your higher consciousness. You check because it's a part of you. Like the sister said, oh goodness, shout out to all of y'all brethren. Shout out to all of y'all. I'm telling you, y'all in the States, Dr. Bass, although Dr. Mumbi shared how Africa is on the rise, especially when from the cultural perspective and whatnot. So the melanated world is taking over again. And this is what the cracker, it really makes you wonder what the hell COVID-19 was all about, you know, because that shit really starting to look more and more like a fucking psyop and a fucking government propaganda, militaristic agenda. You know what I mean, Dr. Bass? Like more and more, it really is leaning on that. People weren't dying from fucking sickness. People were dying because they fucked up the consciousness of people. Let that sink in. I pass it back on to you, Dr. Bass.
Yeah, at this point, like so many melanated people are coming to light because like at this point it's kind of like African states of America at this point, you know what I'm saying? Because like it's
Hey,
like
the brethren are welcome as long as y'all living like one family. Because guess what? The cracker don't see difference in us. They would look to fucking kill us in one shot, any opportunity they get.
yeah, it's like in the at this point it's like they all realize like, oh yeah, their kind is not going to supersede like
Eradicate.
right. So it's like at this point it's just a matter of time at this point. And then like for example, like feelings and emotions are different. So like when she's saying feelings, she's not really talking about emotions because emotions are more of the material human aspect. But when you have
Thank you.
when you have that feeling, it's coming from that divine source, that divine consciousness. So
That
you just have to
intuitive place.
right. So you just have to know the difference at this point.
Oh, I'm telling you, good stuff, my brother. And like I said, these two videos, I didn't even watch them. I'm watching them along with y'all. But my intuitive place literally told me, yo, share these two videos along with the Dr. Mumbi video. And when we get to the Dr. Mumbi video, yo, bro, she's gonna be spilling such truth and facts in that video, right? But let's finish off with the brethren here.
It's like so blended where I'm like, I don't know. And it could just be maybe a decision I have to make or something I'm getting like a psychic download on, but I'm like, I just don't know. But where I am now is if I don't know, that still means that it's not aligned.
Hmm.
Because when it comes from source, it's a full body yes, it's a heart expander, it's a soul uplifter. If it does not feel like that, it's a no.
Yo.
Mhm. Aaron, so I've heard you, Dr. Phil Valentine, as well as many others say two things that seem to, I don't know if contradict themselves is the word, but you'll talk about being observant to your thoughts, and I practice that, and it helps a lot. Being observing my thoughts and not being attached to my thoughts. But Aaron, once that thought comes by, let's say my son walks by the room and he got a smile on his face. I'm no longer the observer of the thought. Oh, I'm fully entrenched in that thought. I love that boy to death. He smiled. I'm engaged in that thought. And I love it. I become one with that thought. So
Mhm,
y'all tell us,
mhm.
be observant, but you all also tell us love is the only law, the only rule of the universe. If I'm really going to experience love, Aaron, I can't be an observer. I got to be in the game to play it. When you observing, you in the bench watching the game. I can't watch the game and love in this world at the same time. I got to be in this world to love. So talk to me about,
Yeah.
I feel as though it's a contradiction to observe, but at the same time to be in this world and to truly love somebody unconditional.
So this is why we said earlier, if you like the thought and it's in alignment with love and joy and abundance and peace, and your body will tell you that because every molecule in your makeup will vibrate faster, then
Mm,
engage it. Using the observer method is about neutralizing the energy when the thought is pulling you down.
okay. Okay. Okay.
Thinking good thoughts that make you feel good is a very enjoyable experience.
Okay.
That is encouraged. Sources giving me, we encourage you to play in your imagination, experience something beautiful in your mind. That's beautiful. It's that
Mhm.
you need to learn that when the opposite, the polarity is happening, how to dig yourself out of it as to not um be kind of like pulled down into depression and anxiety, etc.
Mhm. Mhm. No, definitely, definitely. Let me get to a couple some more questions tonight. Let me see. Okay, this I want to ask this one. How do I
Pause it there
keep
quick,
my
Dr. Man.
frequency high when I'm working?
Yo, Dr. Bass, I'm telling you, yo, you see, it's nothing but good stuff we be touching on here. You see why this is not for kindergarten, play school minded individuals, but I have no problem if they come around because even, I guess, especially they definitely need this kind of information so that they can look back and be like, hey, I remember coming across this channel with these individuals and they literally spoke about this stuff, you know? So when you really stop and think about it, it's really the kindergarten play school minded individuals who need to be hearing this kind of stuff because let's be real, all of this is just really confirmation and a reminder for us that hey, we just need to stay on the path and do what it is we got to do on our part. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like at this point, it's like if you just like play these type of videos or play these type of like frequencies in the background, and people overhear it. Okay, so like their soul, if they do have a soul, but like they will feel like that, connection of like, oh, this might be the truth. Like, but at the instant of like in the moment they might not know, like might not understand it, but as they continue to hear it along their path, then they be like, oh, okay, maybe that makes sense. like like I have so many people who, because like I have my like phone and laptop on grayscale because of like the dopamine of like the colors and whatnot. So I always have like people just be like, "Oh, why your phone is grayscale? Like why your phone is so gray?" I'd be like, "Oh, because like the dopamine levels and like, you know what I'm saying?" So they are finding like that interest of it, but like they might not truly understand it at the moment, but over time they will really know, like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
And you know, in doing little stuff like that, Dr. Bass, you could definitely always look back and be like, yo, look at how I made a difference. Look at how I came. Look at just my presence in this world. Look at how it made a difference in ways that you never even thought that you were going to uh, come back to people's thoughts at the very least. You know what I mean? We be touching people in ways we never even would have seen from miles away. But hey, we were already aware of what we would be getting into coming into this world. And honestly speaking, Dr. Bass, like you said, like you always say, and shout out to you on that. The brethren just confirming this. You've been saying it for the longest a while. If it's from source, if it's from true self, stick with it. If it ain't from true self, take a step back and carefully observe it. But guess what? Negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative individuals, for want of a better term, it's all part of the journey. You came to play the video game, beat that motherfucker till you literally reach the end. Just like you played San Andreas or Fight for New York or whatever video game that you've played. You know you went with the mentality to beat it. Do just that. Take it away, Dr. Bass.
Yeah, and then the last thing I would say is like with the presence and energy, like we are really leaving that sort of imprint in people's minds. So like sometimes I know like for us, like we might not always remember like how powerful we are, like how high vibrational we are. But like a lot of other people see it within ourselves, like by just our presence or by our energy. So it's like we really just be leaving that soul imprint on these people's minds. So that's why so many people crave our energy, or just so many people want to be around us because we just have that high, natural high vibrational essence.
And just a reminder, bro. That's exactly why we got to be all the more aware and be very, very careful with who it is we allow in, because we don't need to touch that can of worms again, do we?
Oh yeah, nah.
I'm telling you, Dr. Bass. Yeah, let's get back to the brethren.
Toxic environment.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is going to feel very counterintuitive, but practice gratitude. Because what happens is the more you focus on what you like about this environment and even the people in this environment. So I'll give you an example. It can be, I'm so grateful and thankful for this as being a source of income for me right now. I love the skills that I've learned here. I know I'm not staying here forever. I know it's temporary, but I recognize the value that's here. I recognize the value of these people and how the income here is also expanding their families. Now, you see how it starts to just build in a momentum that then you see that place in a new light. And because you're seeing it in a new light, you will quantum timeline jump, collapse time. And now you are in a different parallel version of that job, and you will experience different parallel versions of those people. And then it's all just different. It's not the same. You can become a vibrational match to another job that you want. So, this is actually something that I tell people all the time who are like wanting a new job. I'm like, well, the first step to the new job is actually falling in love with the one you have. Then that activates the frequency that allows the new job to come in. It's vibrational match. So you can do that. You can also um focus on yourself. I'm hearing specifically for you. Like, I don't know if you work with people that just gossip a lot, is what it feels like to me in your field. Focus on yourself and stop caring about what they think about you.
Mm, indeed. You know what I want to ask you, Aaron, is that
Jolie wanted Jolie shower. Stop spending money on all that skin and hair care if you're not going to address the root of the problem.
in terms of thinking positive, in terms of, we live in a new society that is totally different from 10, 15 years ago because of social media and because of the internet. So a lot of relationships, like a lot of us grew up, some of us grew up and we heard about our grandparents being together for 20, 30 years, and we heard about relationships where people were together for long periods of time.
Hmm.
In today's era, if somebody encounters an obstacle, they're like, I got to get the hell out of here. They may say because the energy is off. How long do you stay in an environment that seems depression, that seems
Hmm.
anxious? Um, because it seems like we just not having it no more in this new generation, but the old generation. And we're wondering why relationships don't last. But I'm trying to figure out, is being in a long relationship and dealing with toxicity better than just always bailing out a relationship and never experiencing a relationship at all? So talk to me about this new age, this new era where anytime they encounter a problem, it seems they get the hell out of Dodge versus dealing with toxicity over what
Hmm.
we call toxicity, because all marriages, relationships have problems, but dealing with problems for, let's say, 3 5, say you beefing with your man Aaron for 5 years. People ain't doing that in today's generation. So how should we navigate
Oh
where
my
we're in a
goodness.
relationship but at the same time dealing with anxiety and depression in a healthy way, Aaron?
Relationships are so complex and specific to the two people because their souls have brought them together in this moment of time to exchange something, to learn something. And typically, what I tell people is ride the ride until you want to get off. Only you can truly know
Yeah.
when you want to leave. Now, if I'm a firm believer in patterns and cycles, if somebody's been showing you the same thing for 3 years,
Mm,
chances are in the fourth year, nothing's going to change. It doesn't mean that it can't, but you have to, there's a balance with this, a balance of being realistic. Look at what's happening. But also what I'll say is do everything that you can. So when you realize I've exhausted every option, you have no regret when it's time to leave.
mm, excellent.
Do everything that you possibly can. If you want to try therapy, if you want to try a new communication style, I don't know, you want to read the 5 love languages and you want to apply that, like, do what you can just so you can show yourself, okay, it's just not meant to be. And oftentimes that is the contractual lesson, recognizing when it's time to leave and trusting yourself to make that decision.
All right, so we have somebody. They say somebody's spamming the chat. Let me ask this question. Obviously, this person really.
Man, Dr. Bass, what can I say? Honestly, I really don't have much to say. I mean, we might as well just go on to the Dr. Mumbi video, but for those who really want a broken down, simplified explanation of it all, take it away, Dr. Bass.
Yeah, so like relationships, it's like you just have to like, it's kind of different. It's like how she explained it is really like good. So I don't really have nothing too much right now to say.
There we go. There we go. You see, when the brethren already explain it, they already break it down in such a way that even a newcomer can get it. That is most important because we ain't out here like these boring ass Caucasian teachers out here literally making things so fucking boring that motherfuckers don't even want the information that is necessary to grasp, you know? We're out here to just make it as simple and easy to grasp as possible. So yeah, with the Dr. Mumbi video, just skip to 1 minute, Dr. Bass. Yeah, skip to 1 minute, and yeah, we good because trust me, I watch Dr. Mumbi and I know how her videos are. So yeah, just you know how it is. So yeah, this is a really good one. So pay close attention to what it is she's sharing because it was already like 2 weeks ago she did this one, but it is still as relevant as ever. Take it away, Dr. Bass.
Looking the best you've ever looked, family. And truly, if you get your mind right, then you will be moving into living your ultimate best life, which is where some of us, we're entering the gates of that best life, family, and we can tell you it is absolutely amazing. Special shout out to everyone that supports us on Patreon and allows us to dedicate more time and energy to the show. If you'd like to advertise to our niche audience, for many of us, is this thing of turning the other cheek, always be nice, never, it's almost like we were taught and groomed and brainwashed never to defend ourselves, to wait for something outside of ourselves to defend us. And that has caused us so much damage, family, where we have continued to entertain abusive relationship, abusive people, toxic environments, because we think we're doing the work of God. Imagine that's an illusion, family. You're here to do your own work. The Most High just needs you to be in your highest vibration. And I'm telling you, that is probably one of the biggest lessons I've learned in the last year, having come from this feeling and this background, like we needed to save the world and I needed to help awaken people, to realizing like actually I just need to awaken myself to the highest possible levels and share that awakening journey with others. That's all. There's no one coming to save anyone. That's where we got into this in the first place. When we were told to take God from here and put him up there in a cloud somewhere and then make him look like Father Christmas. I mean, it's freaking insane, family. And the ancient ones have really been hammering this point.
Dr. Bass, need I say something? Need I say something? Need I say anything more? And she's not even finished. We didn't even really get started. We didn't even get started. Dr. Bass, just let the people know what it is that's going on, Dr. Bass, because this culture, this world that we came in is so mentally draining and damaging and fucked up. Dr. Bass, laid out in a simple fashion to the people watching out there.
Yes, like they try to have it well, like, oh yeah, someone else has to save you, someone else has to do things for you. It's like a lot of people just like mentally just not motivated to do anything for themselves. So they rely on the system, they rely um on others instead of relying on themselves. So that's why like when you are on this spiritual journey, of course everyone who's on this spiritual journey, when they first start off, they will have a feeling of like, oh, I have to wake up people, I have to wake up my family, I have to wake up my friends and all these other
Nope.
stuff. But
Nope.
as
You gotta
as
do it
you
yourself. It's all about you. It was always about you. You're the number one individual that you need to bring back to that true, higher spiritual reality.
yeah, it's just you realize it's just you at this point.
Straight up, Dr. Bass. Anyway, let's go back to Dr. Mundi because she's got good stuff to share.
To mention it to you guys that we were a lot of us who came from the higher realms, meaning we exist in way more sophisticated realities because we have more sophisticated hearts, some sophisticated ways of love, sophisticated ways of thinking, that we can be in 10D, 500D, 1000D, in what they call the heavens, because we exist here. The heavens is up here, family. Anyway, let me not even, because now I'll lose people. But the reason we came down to earth, or we fell from the heavens, family, was to help us to achieve that balance and not be so high that we're totally out of touch with all that is so low, which makes that which is low a danger to us. A lot of us came to meet our other half, and our other half was not a person, family. Our other half was that, well, they like to call it the dark side, but that mysterious lion on lioness kind of energy. The hunter in us, the predator in us, the so-called killer in us. Because a lot of us, when we're in those higher realms, because we're of one mind and of one heart, family, and literally of one consciousness, so you can think we're one thing like a God, we don't have to have all the barriers to our minds like you have to have in these lower worlds. And I saw there's this guy, I think he's called, is it in a standing or in a university, he's called Seven. He's been doing, he's also, his mind and concept of reality is beautiful. Definitely check him out. And he was talking about how
Understanding
Earth is a
channel.
processing center for higher level beings. And I think that kind of ties into what I'm saying today.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us came from the angelic realms. We'd graduated from loss and despair and heartache and death, and I mean we'd become totally immortal in our thinking, in our feeling, which made us immortal in life. And coming back to a world where death is a concept was hard, family. Because we know no one ever really dies where we're from. But we came into a world which is literally recycling souls, where people forget themselves so much and they get so low that they're stuck in perpetual return, either perpetually returning to a hell that all these minds have created, or a very low level heaven that all these, would you really want to be in heaven with those guys you used to go to church with? Like for real, family? I always used to think as a child, I mean, heaven, if all y'all are going to be in heaven, why do I want to be there? I want to be where, magical beings, fairies and dragons and all that kind of stuff. Nowhere, the one who was saying that I was dressed inappropriately is. But But to
Positive
come into a
with
death culture, family.
Brandon, you see how everything comes back full circle? Brandon, you see how everything comes back full circle? Remember our first few lives? Remember the lives we did in the past? Heck, probably maybe the last two lives or something like that. Remember what we said about Jesus? If he was real and he had to come back for motherfuckers, he wouldn't be coming back for these people, period. They didn't do the work. They didn't do the shadow work. They didn't come into touch with their so-called shadow selves, as Dr. Mombi so perfectly laid out. They didn't process themselves. They didn't elevate themselves. They didn't rise to higher levels of consciousness. Why the fuck would any god, I don't care from which culture, I don't care from which system of spirituality, why would any so-called savior god come back for these dumb motherfuckers? Dr. Bass, please explain it to the people. Lay it out for them. Jeez.
Yeah, and like even with what she just said, like why would you want to go to heaven? Well, like you see all these people in the churches talking about they're going to heaven. So why would you want to spend even more time with the same type of people at this point? It's like I thought heaven was all this magical beings and all these magical things that happen, but you really just going with the same people. Like, why would you want to experience it with the same
I
type of
could
people who you don't even like?
Dr. Bass, I kid you not. That right there just shows. Thank you very much, Dr. Bass. That right there, you just confirmed something that I had already confirmed even before my spiritual awakening. Not everybody's going to like you, and you're not going to like everybody. Just deal with it. It just is the way it is. Bobby Hemmett himself perfectly said it in his lectures years ago. You live in a vast, grand, expanded universe where you have all kind of fucked up beings. And guess what? You were born into bloodlines, physical bloodlines down here with some of these fucked up beings. Just because they're blood, that don't mean a goddamn thing. It's these motherfuckers who actually want to take you out. It's these motherfuckers who actually want to fuck you up the most. Ever seen somebody whose bloodline you were not born in actually treat you better than the people whose bloodline you were born into? And another thing, like you said, what you explained in past lives with the whole heaven thing. What are y'all motherfuckers gonna be doing in the morning? What y'all motherfuckers gonna be doing at noon? What y'all motherfuckers gonna be doing in the afternoon, at night? You're just gonna be singing choirs for this piece of shit God that don't mean a damn thing. And just like what the Bible itself already said, He's the God of the living, not the God of the dead. Death in and of itself is not a real concept. But if you look at death for what it is, this motherfucker told you he don't deal with death. Meaning you're not dealing with the all. You're not dealing with source. You're dealing with a subordinate entity. Shout out to Elijah Muhammad. To worship a God outside of yourself is to worship a God inferior to yourself. Y'all motherfuckers are worshiping a God. We've mentioned this time after time after time. And we're going to get to the Jesus part. This motherfucker don't fuck with you the moment you're on your deathbed. And even if Jesus had to come back for people, he ain't coming back for these motherfuckers. Heck, young Pharaoh, shout out to young Pharaoh on that one. Jesus be more quick to come back for a Buddhist monk or an Indian yogi or even an African shaman, because these brothers made the transition. They made the elevation. They came to the realization. You see all those Asians right there, Dr. Bass? Yeah, they came to all of that. These low-minded, low-level dumb fucks in these churches and these places, the pastors, some of these pastors out here will be assholes, put pimps on pulpits. These followers, these sheep bots. But then again, it ties back to the video that the brother mentioned with NPCs, non-playable characters. These churches be filled with non-playable characters. And Dr. Bass, I want to lay it out here, right? I find it to be amazing, right? These motherfuckers be going out here in clubs and whatnot, be looking for women. When you got some fine ass looking sisters up in these churches, I'm like, fuck you motherfuckers. y'all going to the wrong places. Maybe y'all should play Christian and literally go up in these churches. You got some fine ass fucking sisters in there. I'm like, Dr. Bass, it's not a fucking joke. But still, we already mentioned it. The brother already mentioned it with NPCs and whatnot. Sure, you could have a child with an NPC, but ultimately, is that relationship going to benefit you? Is it expedient to you? And with everything Dr. Mumbi is mentioning, why the hell are you going to want to spend another eternity or whatever an eternity is supposed to be? 1,000,000 years, 2 billion years, 1 trillion years. I don't know what the fucking eternity is. But in the higher realms, time don't exist. So are you really going to want to spend an insurmountable amount of time so-called, with beings who you're not even related to on a signature energy spiritual level. And Dr. Bass, take it away. I've said enough.
Yeah, at this point it's like all these like subgenres. So like it's not like the real genre, but it's just a subordinate being or that's like us trying to be the main genre, but it's really a side genre at this point. And it's like at this point you just have to realize like and like a lot of people say like, oh, they believe in time, right? So like, especially when we were talking about, oh, what are you gonna do in the morning in heaven? What are you gonna do at noon and everything like that? Because they even though we know time is illusion, but since they're NPCs, they don't know that time is an illusion. So at this point, it's like time is everything for them at this point.
And not just that too, Dr. Bass. Remember in the book, which I shared already, y'all should get that book, Reginald Crossley's The Voodoo Quantum Leap. I'm telling you, these motherfuckers out here, they telling motherfuckers to they're telling these people out here to follow these fairy tales about some god that's gonna come from the sky and save them when these motherfuckers are studying the actual shit, quantum physics, quantum reality, and all that kind of stuff. Reginald Crossley mentioned what it was, I think it was a British past. No, it wasn't a British past. I think it was a politician of some sort. This guy mentioned straight up how he was more terrified to go to the Christian heaven than he was to go to the Christian hell. If you were to stop and observe it for what it really is, because to begin with, fire in and of itself is energy. And the Bible literally says God is what? Fire. And you came from God. So, I mean, in that sense. So, your energy. And fire can only destroy that which is physical, not energy. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. So hell is a physical place? And if that's the case, then heaven also has to be a fucking physical place. We're not talking about anything spiritual and whatnot. You see how they fool people, Dr. Bass? This was just stuff that I thought about in my own spare time. Dr. Bass, motherfuckers gotta, they, they really gotta come to that space on their own. There's only so much that we individuals sharing the truth and facts can do. We just gotta lay it out there. I don't care what motherfuckers do it with their own in their own spare time or what is it that they do with the information if they even choose to do anything with the information whatsoever. Plain and simple. It's just that simple. But Reginald Crossley's Voodoo Quantum Leap, very good book to read. Get that one and yeah, let's get back to Dr. Mumbi, bro.
Because the God of this world killed its son. The God that the people of this world worship took out his only beloved son. I mean, so you can already see if that is a foundational thought of the majority of people in this reality, then it confirms that we are living in a death culture, family, in a death world. And for a lot of us who come straight from the Most High, it's been a hard one to swallow because we just know it's not true. They even made people hate reincarnation, thinking that, Tati, this is your only, that's how low people are. To the point where they think reincarnation is an evil concept. But I know if you're on this show, I'm just confirming everything you already know, family. But what you need to know is the only reason you came so low is to meet your other half, which in this world rules them, literally rules the humans, like their darkness rules them, their lust, their anger, their envy. That's who they are. They live such dirty, filthy lives, family, like really. Because that is just, it's all about betrayal and, taking away and greed and having more than others and what others have. And it's a very small-minded world. And it's been very, very hard for the people of big minds to be here. And we've been targeted, tortured, abused, harvested. for energy and all kinds of things, family, because we had a bigger mind. These people are so low-minded, they thought it was here. Yeah, they thought if they take this or something, they're getting that big mind, but it's not in this dimension, which is something they can't even understand, and sadly a lot of us have forgotten. But anyway, those are stories for other days. The ancient ones just want you to know, family, that the other half of you, let's say we have an angel and a demon, kind of dual personality or character. The demon is there to defend you, and the angel is there to love you and to help you move higher into higher realms, if you want to think about it like that, because these are both parts of us. But during the incredibly dark periods of our lives, family, of our ancestors' lives, our people had to create a world for the darkest side of us and create potions and spell work and ways to survive and mental, spiritual, soul weapons that were supposed to be for a season and time. But they continue to be used because we have not returned ourselves back into our bigger mind. We're still in these little minds. And that is why we're still being ruled by little mind people. And seeing the darkness of the ignorant, family, has made a lot of you fear your own darkness, because you know the one who heals can also destroy, or the one who heals can also kill, family. The one who creates can also destroy and be extremely destructive. And a lot of the manipulation that was done on us as children, family, was to make us tap into and become these extremely dark characters. That's why they let a lot of chosen ones in, because to come into this world, you have to come in as both like angel, demon. I'm hoping I'm making sense. But you have to come in with that dualistic, you open up that dualistic nature. And a lot of us came not just to meet our other half, but to incorporate our other half, to rescue and release our other half from the pits of darkness, and to return that other half of ourselves into their rightful position in our lives, which is as the bodyguard, as the defense, as our most powerful defense system. But they were trying to make us flip ourselves, where we make, and excuse, I'm just using these terms because it's what people understand. They turn the angel into the demon. So they turn us upside down. So that instead of creating, we're destroyers, we're perfect destroyers, and we're oppressing that creative nature in us. That's why so much of our creativity was oppressed, family. Many of us wanted to be singers. We had gifts. We didn't just want to sing. We actually came to sing and change the world, or whatever it may be. And so many of those opportunities were blocked off from our lives because they wanted us to choose the demonic side instead of the angelic side. But we put in so many measures, family, because one thing you got to know, and I think if I need to continue this message, I probably need to continue this message in a future episode, but one thing you need to know is that you knew what you were coming into. You knew the scenarios that you were coming into. It sounds so crazy now. Maybe we didn't know it would feel this bad. It would be this intense. But you knew the blueprint of those dark, ignorant, those small-minded people who would be your mothers and your fathers and do small-minded things to you that were cruel and wicked. And it has been an opportunity for us to learn just how low the little minds go. And that will go into our book of lives. It will go into our Akashic records. It will go into the temples and the pyramids that we are to build for future generations as something that they never have to go through. Thank you to every single person that supports us on Patreon. If you'd like to advertise a special service or product.
Like I said, Dr. Bass, like I said, the lady definitely knows what she's talking about, because you could definitely tell that her experience, knowledge, and wisdom come from a place of knowing, having been there, having conquered all of it. Like, it's not easy being in this world as a purely spiritual being, simply experiencing it in a video game format, Dr. Bass. It's not. It's not. But all I could say is we've come this far. I always keep saying it, and you know it to be facts, Dr. Bass. We've come this far. There's no way we can go back. We see what it is. Having been in this world, to be in this world physically, I mean, well, even just a small portion of us, we know how it is because we've been through it all. Because higher level spiritual beings than us, these motherfuckers wouldn't even dare to even set a small toe in this world, let alone actually experience a lifetime. Like, this is not easy shit. But hey, we are the warriors. And like what Bobby Hemmett himself said, if the Christ energy, but Dr. Mumbi mentioned it in a previous video she did as well. If the Christ energy, so-called, had to manifest the way it's supposed to manifest, this entire physical reality would crumble and fall. And honestly speaking, Dr. Bass, I don't give a shit if it crumbles and falls right now, because this is so beneath us. Like, fuck this reality, man. But we have to conquer it. Gonna have to overcome it. Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity, Dr. Bass. It's just so. Thank you very much again, Dr. Bass. And yeah, before we close this one off, anything, just laying it out there for everyone based off of what Dr. Mumbi herself shared, because I told you, the lady, she's good. She's really good. This is a sister. She's one of the few individuals out there that I would tell anybody go and support, because man, I'm telling you, it's nothing but stuff that even people, even the ignorant motherfuckers have to start knowing. Straight up. Straight up. And remember, the physical realm, she mentioned the part in there where this physical realm has begotten so low. Remember, it wasn't always that low here in this physical realm. And we know that. Take it back, Dr. Bass.
Yeah, it's so important to just like realize the truth and just like realize the duality and the polarity of all of this, like with the angel and the demon, but like how we are in this world, everything is always upside down, everything is in reverse. So they like to flip the schedule and flip the script. So at this point, it's all about decoding and detach, disconnect, and decode. Of course. Definitely all about decoding and just like realizing like the different truths behind it all as well.
Yeah, Dr. Bass. Yeah, well said. Well said. And people need to realize this more than ever. People need to come to the realization that, yeah, listen, you you being gold agreed to come into this world of shit. You came to literally be the septic cleaner, to literally clean the shit up. That's the best analogy I can give. I can't give a better explanation. I just cannot give a better analogy. You came to clean the shit up. But guess what? For you, who is a multidimensional spiritual being, rejoice, because you see the world, this physical realm, the system that they that this fucked up system that we grew up in, it's finally collapsing with all the natural disasters and whatnot that's happening. Bring it on. Keep bringing it on. Bring it on. It's about time that this world came to an end. Like, for real. What's not worth it, you gotta admit when something is not worth it. Hey, and there's nothing wrong with quitting in the right scenario. Quit not because it's hard. Quit because it sucks. Straight up. Any last words, Dr. Bass?
Yeah, just like that quitting part. Like, remember in I think the second video, how Aeon was talking about, oh yeah, if it doesn't feel like white, and if it doesn't, if you tried your best and it's still like toxic information, then at this point you just have to let it go. Let go to grow.
Straight up, straight up, straight up. But anyway, like I said, Dr. Bass, thank you so much. Anything that you'd like to let the people in the audience know what's going on with you and that things that they should be looking forward to on your end?
Oh yeah, this time, when this posts and everything like that, make sure you check out my social media and my music and all that other stuff. And you already know.
Good stuff, good stuff. Yo, Dr. Bass, you are very much appreciated. Very good to be doing this again. And yeah, that's a lot of posts you'll be doing when the time comes. But hey, YouTube isn't going to be the only platform it's going to be on anyway. So yeah, thank you once again, Dr. Bass. And yeah, everyone, pleasure to be here. And y'all be good.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thanks again, Dr. Bass. You take it easy. We'll keep in touch as always.
Oh yeah.
Peace.